Yeah. So this is a very small discussion that we thought is one good way of soliciting, responses from panelists who also represent the audience that has come here. And the second one is a common question, and we hope to not extend it too far because time is also a bit of a premium now. Being a visual artist, what were your thoughts when you accepted the assignment of curating the works of a school of architecture?
I've been involved with architectural education for a long time, and my interest in architecture education is architecture is a kind of, it's a mother of everything. It's a common thing, people say. But creating an education and creating an exhibition from the surplus of pedagogical practice from the institution to public, you could say that from the individual creativity to collective creativity, where you need a focus on what has to be exhibited, how to curate it, how to create that or extract that from the chaos to the order. That's a very important thing. And I was very fascinated with Seed, how they started the entire the curriculum activities. It's like it was more or less like it's a great step towards the architectural education. It's a multiplicity is one thing, and seeing the faculties and students, the ability to understand, how and what was the main aspect of the mindful education from chaos to order. The architectural practice, architectural pedagogical practice is something which lot of things happened in the classroom, but all the things you cannot exhibit it. Even if you are exhibiting it, the challenges are very high. So the exhibition is which I looked at. It's a surplus of what you have been already taught to the students, and it never come up with a kind of the classroom again to the outside. No, for me it was very clear that the classroom work happens, lot of pedagogical practices happens, that you need to convert into the public the exhibition material.
Madhu, the curatorial note of Seedscape 5.0, it places a great emphasis on the architecture of the existing space, and in particular, considering the oeuvre of your practice, you've taken off from the classicism of that space, of the Darbar Hall space. Content of the work of the students has in turn influenced your process of curation.
There is this base for the practice in search for non-hierarchical spaces continuously. So, when we think about that, we also take cues from local problems, but then find a universal or unifying element for it. So that is more or less the same attitude that we showed while looking at the great gallery of Kerala, this Darbar Hall, and we kind of tried to find its geometry, and then trying to find rooms that is more or less same in dimensions. Within this space, then we tried to imagine Seed, the works that is produced year by year in Seed, with shared values and concerns, and then we tried to show this work together, all together at the same time. By the word together, we even think about the people who come to see it, and so it's all put across in a non-hierarchical way.
Completely different experiences. This has been the 2023 and the 24 editions have been vastly different in the way it is mounted and the experiences that it has rendered. Just to make it clearer to the audience, one of the good things that they brought in this edition was also this whole idea. When he says non-hierarchical, it is also about how the work exhibited was not as per the batches or as per the studios. So it is all broken down into individual pieces, and that's the first time that we are doing this in the 5 editions that we've done so far.
It came about with our humble observation that we had made over a period of time. We are in the habit of visiting, it's sort of like a ritual for us, visiting Academi, Thrissur, it's quite close to our office, for all the kinds of exhibitions that it hosts. It could be paintings, sculptures, installations, or any kind of works. And it's a building by our famous architect Laurie Baker, a very humble building. But then, with our limited observation, what we realized is that the space is really not utilized in the way possible. Also, there are certain factors which is limiting it for many artists as such, because the viewing distance is quite small, the spaces are quite tight, and the proportions are not as per what many would prefer. So that way, but we realized that the space also holds interesting volumes. So, along with the works which we already had, in fact, at least 3/4 of the works were assembled there on site with the help of friends, staff, and family. It was our humble observation that led to culminated in attempt 01, and most of the works were specifically done to address the volumes of the space. And unlike many exhibitions that we constantly visit, this was meant to be touched, felt, walked through, and the sorts. This kind of a venture helped us discover ourselves in a way. Also, the charge which we got from this work helped us, I think, several years from then, you know. And we had decided that we would continue it as a series, though it never happened so, but that consistency would have helped us further. And that's that.
Finally, I come to Jeremy. Jeremy, as a practice, Wingsmith Architects seems to be a lot invested in the idea of documenting, archiving, and publishing. Even in our conversations yesterday, that is what I could figure out. How important are these to you and to practice in general? Especially, I speak in the context of what you did at the public exhibition, the soft architecture, soft context exhibition. So, pretty curious to know how you look at this, because Indian architects in particular do not really have that habit of relentlessly documenting and meticulous documentation of things and archiving of things and all that. So that's not something that is very natural to us.
I think what's more important is that you look to publish or to present or to talk about what you think is important. Bridging the gap between architecture and the city, I would say architecture is the city. And architecture is about people. And so, to me, it's not so much kind of bridging a gap, it's helping people understand what is amazing about Cochin. I escaped my minder today and got on a bus, and it was fun. Everyone was happy, everyone was talking. There was music playing. Like that's architecture. And so I think there's a risk of trying to make new. This might be a good segue to my talk, but there's a risk of trying to make new when there's a great opportunity of going, look what we've got, and this is how it works, and we'll show you why.
I believe any institution should be able to come up with individuals who are equipped to practice. When I say practice, I don't really mean just design buildings, but anyone who is into architectural research or academician also. These tools are of utmost importance, because when we take interns or new staff, that is something that we see lacking. There is a certain amount of contribution that they have to put from their side as well. That sometimes is missing in many students or newcomers or freshers. Simple fact of how do you convince your design to a client? Such simple task such simple skills comes out of facing an audience, even if it is small, even if it's a jury member or your classmate or your lecturer. Such skills were taken away from these students because of the lack of contact. It was all online. I believe subject-wise, Seed is doing great, because from the little I interacted with the faculty, there's a lot of enthusiasm, and the mission you guys are holding for a couple of years from now is great. It's not something that most institutions over several decades were not able to achieve or even have in their books as a name. So that way Seed is going a long way. And simple fact that you have curators curating your student exhibition shows the kind of quality that you guys are aiming at, and that definitely will bleed into the students. You had so much of life and so much of interest and best wishes, and that will definitely go into the students as well. So that way Seed is going to grow into a huge tree, I suppose. But I hope everything comes together, subject not being taught in isolation, but as in how can climatology or how can material research or anything of that sort, how can that reflect into their design and producing an end result. That is very important. I think you can go about the bush doing a lot of research and coming up with papers and printouts, but then how do you actually put that in paper and how do you sell your idea and get it built? That is of utmost importance. That has to be a skill that has to be achieved by the students.
Thank you very much, all four of you. You've been great, fantastic, and thank you very much. You can take your seats.